This message is sponsored by Greenlight. Hey, this Christmas, why not fund your child's first savings account and begin teaching your kids a skill that will benefit them for a lifetime? How to manage money, save, and invest in a tangible way with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card money app made for families. You can send money to your kids or deposit their allowance immediately when their chores are completed. Then keep an eye on their spending and saving while your kids build money confidence and lifelong financial literacy skills. It's one of the best things we taught Casey. Greenlight is the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids. That's why millions of parents trust Greenlight and why kids love learning about money thanks to fun games on Greenlight, the #1 family finance and safety app. Don't wait to teach your kids real-world money skills. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Kirk. That's greenlight.com/Kirk to get started. greenlight.com/Kirk. This weekend is your chance to be the hero. Be the best gift giver ever with Cozy Earth bamboo sheets, PJs, and casual wear. We live in Cozy Earth because it feels like we're in heaven. And this weekend, you get 40% off at cozyearth.com using my code CALM. Everyone I care about is getting Cozy Earth awesomeness from me this year. The softness and warmth of the Cozy Earth Bubble Cuddle Blanket is honestly addictive, and you'll have so many great talks with your kids all snuggled under it. Bonus tip, order a couple items for yourself, because then you're at least guaranteed to get a gift you absolutely love, and you'll feel so relaxed you won't react to your kids as much. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays. This weekend only, from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday, get 40% off at cozyearth.com with code CALM. It's the best deal of the year. And let Cozy Earth know the Calm Parenting Podcast guy sent you. So how many of you have kids who are expert button pushers, just so naturally gifted at it? And it usually provokes a reaction from you or your spouse or from siblings, but that almost always spirals out of control. So how do you respond to this without escalating or without letting kids get away with it? That is what we're going to discuss on today's episode of the Calm Parenting Podcast. Welcome, this is Kirk Martin, founder of Celebrate Calm. You can find us in our Christmas sale at celebratecalm.com. Look, I know you have kids that are extremely challenging. They are experts at questioning you, arguing with you, negotiating with you. They're like little cops, judges, and attorneys all wrapped into one, and they will try to wear you down and push your buttons. And it's not right that they do that. But you do have a choice here, and you have to stop reacting. So I want to share 5 of my favorite responses, even though there are many, many more, because it's a busy time of year. So let's imagine that it's that dreaded late afternoon, early evening time of day, right? You're tired and you've got all these things to do and dinner to cook and homework and bedtime and bath time, all those things. And so let's say in this case, mom walks into the house after working all day at the office or at home, and she just asks her daughter, "Hey, I'm going to start on dinner. Could you please set the table for me?" Daughter responds by rolling her eyes at her mom. Now mom's anxiety rises because she doesn't want to raise a disrespectful child. And what would her own mother say? And what am I doing wrong? Look, when Casey would do this to me as a dad, I would immediately react in a visceral way because there is no way I would have ever said that to my dad. And what kind of disrespectful kid am I raising? Whoever hired this child? How dare he disrespect me? I get that. So in this case, mom reacts with the classic, "Young lady, you will not roll your eyes at me. I never did that to my mother, and you will not do that to me." To which the daughter responds, "Whatever." And now mom's had it because she's tired, frustrated. And so she unloads on this alien child in front of her who used to be her precious little daughter. Or if you have a strong-willed child, maybe they were never that precious little daughter. They came out of the womb like this. But you know what mom says? "You know what? I cook for you. I clean for you. I do your homework half the time for you, and don't tell dad. The least you could do is set the table." Is that too much to ask? Now, meanwhile, Dad has just walked home into the room, and he's upstairs changing clothes, and Dad hears the most horrifying sound in the world to a man, which is his wife upset. Look, moms, we barely know what to do with you when everything is good. But when you're upset, we are clueless, and it causes us a lot of anxiety. So Dad marches downstairs ready to fix the situation. He comes into the kitchen, looks at his wife and says, not going there. So he goes after the daughter who caused his wife to be upset. And as soon as the dad goes after the daughter, mom sometimes does a 180 and defends the daughter she just wanted to strangle. Now watch, who just controlled this entire situation? The daughter. And whether she is 4 or 14, all she did was move a few eye muscles. That's it. Just rolling her eyes or saying one word set off a chain reaction with her mother and ultimately between both parents arguing about how to handle her. And you'll say, but that daughter was defiant and disrespectful. And I'll say, she was. That's right. But that doesn't excuse us reacting and feeding into it. She was also looking for that intense emotional engagement, and she got it. When Casey was younger, I'd say something like, Casey, you need to pick up your toys. And here was his response. Wow. I used to joke that he was too lazy to say whatever, so he just came up with a 3-letter response. Wow. He knew that would push my buttons because you couldn't even think wow when we were kids. And so, yeah, your kids push your buttons. But the real issue is that your kids can only push your buttons because you have so many to push. If you didn't have all those buttons, they couldn't push them. So you're going to have to do the hard work necessary to deal with your own anxiety and issues so we can stop reacting. So, what can you do next time your kids try to push your buttons? And here's number 1, which you know is you never, ever react. You must resolve within yourself that if you want to change your child's behavior quickly, you must first control your own. And that means you draw a line in the sand and refuse to react, because when you react, you are allowing your child to have power over you and control your actions. When you are not in control of yourself, your child is in control of you. And that makes kids feel very unstable and unsafe. Think about it. A child is controlling you. A child. You're on the defensive. You're not leading anymore. You are following your child. Again, no blame, no guilt. I know this makes you angry because your kids shouldn't be pushing your buttons, but this has been happening since the beginning. This has happened since the beginning of time. And I'm not interested in excuses and all of that and blaming other people, because nothing changes the simple fact that you do have a choice in this matter. You have the power to choose your response no matter what your child says or does, because if you react, then you have become your child's puppet. The truth is that your child pushes your buttons because it works. So don't give them that power. Here's a simple affirmation. I used to say this over and over again while I was learning how to control myself. I refuse to give any person or situation power over my mood, my attitude, and my behavior. I refuse to give any person or situation power over my mood, attitude, and behavior. And I would encourage you, be indignant about it. Instead of getting angry at your child, be indignant that you've surrendered power over yourself to a child and other people. And I'll give you one more suggestion, and you'll hate it, but do it anyway, especially because you'll hate it. Smile. Just smile next time in recognition of the pattern that's developed over time. Your child pushes and you react. So smile, realizing that this little guy or towering teenager has owned you for years, and he or she is only 3 or 6 or 8 or 12 or 15 or 22. And the smile is a solemn promise to yourself that those days are over, that you're the grown-up, that you refuse to be drawn into power struggles. A little aside here. You've got to watch and really look at, why do you get drawn into those power struggles? For some of you, there's a part of it where you're looking for the intense stimulation. Some of it, it's something that's happening from childhood. I'm going to do a podcast on that very soon. Some of you, you're just drawn by the drama of it. And you've got this narrative of like, oh, I just have this difficult child and she's always been difficult. That's a narrative that you're clinging to, that you're giving power in your life and you just keep feeding it. And I understand that. But if I'm being tough with you and honest with you because I want to liberate you from this, you have to let go of that narrative and change that narrative. And instead of telling all your friends how challenging your child is, start telling your friends how easy it is to manipulate your emotions, right? Because that's the truth. So, number 2, be grateful. And I don't mean this in some smarmy, fake gratitude way. Oh, I'm just so grateful for my spirited child. I really do mean this. This is an opportunity for you and I to grow up, to become more emotionally whole humans and forge a closer bond with this child. I'm telling you, the child that you fight with most is the child that you can ultimately be closest to, precisely because there's been so much emotional engagement over this. So you can do this, or you dismiss it, you make excuses, and you double down on consequences and just ruin your relationships. Stop lamenting that your kids push your buttons and simply ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? Look, I did a video on Instagram recently and this about strong-willed kids, and a dad replied, well, if I had a child like this, it would drive me nuts. I'm thankful for my son. And I get that. But my response internally was, no, you're looking at it the wrong way. Having an easy, compliant child requires nothing of you emotionally. The fact that a more challenging child would drive you nuts means you need to work on those areas of your own immaturity and reactivity, because the purpose of relationships is transformation. So embrace that. Your child may be doing you a favor by identifying buttons that you need to address inside yourself. Look, these buttons, these things inside of us, they sabotage our relationships with our spouse, with kids, with friends, and with ourselves. And having a strong-willed child is like having a therapist with you full time, and it's free. If you really want to freak your kids out and model maturity and humility, here are some script ideas, especially for older kids. So you know what brings us a lot of joy? Getting a text from our daughter-in-law saying, OMG, this hungry root coconut curry, broccoli, and pepper bowl is to die for. Like many young couples, she and our son are working extra long hours during the holidays, so we're treating them to a couple extra Hungry Root meals each week. They love Hungry Root because it eliminates having to decide what to have for dinner and making that stop at the grocery store when they're tired and hungry. Hungry Root replaces expensive carryout with healthy, delicious meals that only take minutes to prepare. Plus, you can find kids' meals that even picky kids love. We love Hungry Root, so take advantage of our exclusive offer. Go to hungryroot.com/calm and use code CALM to get 40% off your first box. Plus, get a free item in every box for life. That's hungryroot.com/calm, code CALM, to get 40% off your first box. hungryroot.com/calm, code CALM. I want you to be relaxed this holiday season because you're such busy parents. Wayfair.com just made gift giving easy for us. We have so many different people to buy gifts for with such different tastes and needs. So we went to Wayfair.com and got wine glasses and a decanter for our wine enthusiasts, an espresso machine for the coffee lovers, throws and sofa pillows for relatives who moved into a new home, and a cute dog bed. Boom, done. All in one place. All of these great gifts ship fast and free. And I love that we get accurate email updates for delivery from one place, not like 7 different online shops. So we know what is coming when. Get last minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Hey, Casey, you're actually really good at pushing my buttons because you have a lot of insight into human nature and people. By the way, it's why your kids are so good at mocking and making fun of your relatives during the holidays. And it's why they're often very good at mocking and making fun of dad, because they observe and they watch. And then we get all defensive. I don't do that. And your kids are like, yes, you do. You know how I know that? Because I'm the same way as a dad, and Casey used to point that out. And humility tends to be a good trait to use then. So look, Casey, you're actually really good at pushing buttons because you have a lot of insight into human nature. And that's a great trait because one day you're going to use that to help a lot of people. I'm sorry I have continually reacted and complained about this. It's my issue. See, you just own it. Hey, son, daughter, when you procrastinate, it just really bugs me. And then I nag you. Because when I was a kid, I would get yelled at for being late or slow, and now I take that out on you, and that's not fair to you. And then here's what I want you to do. Stop bugging your child. See, your actions are your best lecture and your best apology. Don't go on and on with apologies. Just begin changing your behavior. Your kids will notice. Son, daughter, I need to apologize. I grew up thinking my job as a parent was to control your behavior, and that's why I'm always on you, and I imagine that must be annoying. But the truth is, you are responsible for your actions, and you're very capable of controlling yourself. See, you don't have to say that to your child, but begin to internalize it, that your job is not to control your kids, it's to teach them how to control themselves. Hey, here's one more. I need to apologize to you because inadvertently, through all my lectures, because lecturing is micromanaging, I have sent the message that you're not capable of being responsible for yourself. But the truth is, you are, and I've seen it before. So stop micromanaging your kids and reacting to them. If they're young, you don't need to have any of these talks. Just stop reacting and micromanaging and controlling them. Give them ownership of their choices. Listen to our past podcasts on giving kids ownership. So instead of being angry at your kids, be thankful they're exposing your immaturity and destructive thinking, because now we get to change that. And that's really liberating. So number 3, do the opposite. Here's a little trick I learned. The next time your child pushes your buttons or does anything, do the opposite of what you normally do. Because if lecturing and yelling aren't working and result in the opposite response that you want, why not do the opposite and see what happens? So instead of reacting, I would sit down, because sitting down is extremely helpful. And I chose to respond thoughtfully. Instead of lecturing, I ask questions and become curious, which is a way of leading your child to the right answer they already know inside. Instead of trying to fix the situation, I help them work it out themselves. Be curious, ask questions, problem solve. Handle this like you would handle a problem at the office or in an emergency room. Instead of constantly correcting your kids and pointing out everything they've done wrong, affirm a positive choice your child has made recently. Hey, Jackson, I noticed you walk away from your brother when he was trying to get on your nerves. Fist bump shows me you're growing up. Instead of complaining that my child is obstinate and pig-headed, I acknowledge their persistence. You know what I admire about you, Jaden? When you really care about and want something, nothing gets in your way of accomplishing your goal or getting what you want. That's called persistence. And you know the number one quality necessary for success in life? Persistence. And you have it. Fist bump, pretty awesome. Number 4, be tough and direct. Look, if your kids are being intentionally disrespectful, I'm not doing the sweet tone. And I'm not just trying to understand their emotions in that moment. Because sometimes they're just being disrespectful. Now, sometimes there's something underneath the surface, but you don't have to let them get away with it. I was always very clear with Casey. Hey, that kind of attitude, that's never going to work with me. So you may want to reconsider your tone while I go get a snack, go grab the laundry. Now, here's a longer response. Casey, I know you are intentionally trying to push my buttons. One of your amazing qualities is that you have insight into people and you know what irritates them. And one day you're going to use that quality to help a lot of people. I know it. But I want to apologize to you because the last 357 times you have done this, I have reacted. I have led you to believe that you actually control my actions and reactions and have power over me, but you don't anymore. So feel free to push my buttons all you want. I just refuse to react. But here's the deal. If you use that great brain of yours in negative ways, it's just going to have negative consequences. It just shows me you're not mature enough to handle sleepovers with friends, getting your driver's license, and other mature responsibilities. If, though, and notice your tone changes to a positive one, you're starting to lead here. If you'd like to use that great brain of yours to problem solve and talk to me like an adult, man, I'm all over that. See, I'm even matter of fact with discipline and when I say no and when I enforce my boundaries. But then I invite the child to a more grown-up response. Even with little kids and toddlers, I can say, hey, I can get why you throw a tantrum right now because you think it's going to change my behavior and give you what you want, but it won't. But I always listen and really respect you when you speak with me respectfully like you did the other day. See, you can cut those down, make them shorter, use your own words, even matter of fact for the no, short and sweet, and in an invitation to do it differently. Use this as a teaching moment to put the ball back in your child's court. Look, just something for you to think about. I'm not going to make you do anything or control your behavior. That's up to you. But your choices do affect your life, and your choice is up to you. And then I just keep my promise when I enforce consequences. Number 5, get to the root of the issue. Instead of framing this merely as your child being a disrespectful provoker, go one layer deeper. What is your son or daughter really looking for? Are they struggling and just taking it out on you? I guarantee you that's probably 80% of the time. Do they just want your intense reaction or intense emotional engagement? A lot of kids who have been adopted, they're really looking for that intense emotional engagement because even if you respond negatively in an intense way, the intensity says that you cared enough about them to react that way. It's really interesting. They associate intensity with connection. So that's why I want to rewire their brains by rewiring my responses. Here's a couple examples. Hey, Jennifer, when you do this, what it tells me is something's bothering you, or you could say, hey, something must have happened at school. I'm not going to react, lecture, or get in your face. But if you'd like to go walk the dog with me, I'd love to listen and help you if you want. I love the invitation. I like walking a dog, going for a walk, going for a drive, because now it's not face to face and you don't have all that eye contact. It makes it easier for kids to open up. Hey, Casey, I've noticed this pattern. When you use that tone with me, it's usually because you are frustrated, anxious, or hungry. You may continue to talk to me like that, but it just never ends well for you. But if you want to grab some chips, I'll grab some salsa and I'll help you with whatever you're struggling with. See, this was a huge pivot for me. This is when I actually began teaching Casey why he was being disrespectful. So instead of, I can't believe you would talk to me like that, I'd say, hey, I know what your triggers are. When you're anxious, you're frustrated, or you're hungry. So he would understand his own triggers so that for the rest of his life, he knows that about himself. Then instead of just getting upset or sending him to his room because you can't talk to me like that and taking it personally, I'd invite him to problem solve and we'd talk it through. And I think that's partially why he is so good at handling conflict in all of his relationships now, because we just worked on it. And I didn't let him get away with it. There are always consequences for talking like that, but the consequences aren't even the important part. It's problem solving and teaching them. Now, look, there were times when he was just pushing my buttons, but he just really wanted my intense emotional engagement. So I would even say at times, hey, I think you're looking for intensity right now because I've been kind of distracted. Then I'd close my laptop and say, okay, what do you want to do together right now? And if you're busy, you can say, look, I've got 15 minutes. I will give you 15 minutes of my undivided attention, or 7 minutes. Do you know, look, even with your spouse, because you haven't had that time together because you have kids and strong-willed kids, if you spend 6 or 7 minutes give your spouse 6 or 7 minutes of undivided attention, when you were actually giving your spouse your intense emotional engagement, man, that means something. That is real. So it doesn't have to be hours and hours, but it's the intensity of it. So I would give him what he was actually looking for and yearning for, that engagement while building something in the garage together, playing guitar, playing catch, whatever it was that he was into. And I want to add a number 6 response to this in a moment. So I hope you find this liberating on many levels, that instead of trying to change the behavior of another human being, you're just changing yourself. It's a huge opportunity in that way. And you'll also find you begin to bond with this child, and a lot of the button pushing goes away when you stop giving so much energy to it. This is a gift to you to break the old generational patterns inside of you forever, so your kids don't have to struggle like you and I do. It's a much more proactive way of thinking that has nothing to do with others and everything to do with you. And you can change this dynamic in your home very quickly by just thinking differently, choosing a different response. Now, number 6 is coming in a minute. If you need help, reach out to Casey. Take advantage of the Christmas sale. If you need help financially, let him know. We'll help you. But my number 6 thing is, I just added, listen to this podcast with your kids, or just let them listen alone and ask them, why do you push my buttons so much? Ask them, listen to them, learn from them, see what they say. It will be really interesting to hear their response. Okay, you've got your action plan this week, moms and dads. Hey, much respect to you all for working on yourselves, letting me be tough with you. Thanks for sharing the podcast. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.